The stink hit her nose before her eyes even opened. Another cycle, another mess. Zara pulled the loose mask over her face and stood up from her sleeping pod, which was squeezed between a wall pipe and the cleaning droid cage. Her thin arms ached. From the shift before, her gray uniform was still damp with sweat and chemical spray from yesterday's job. No time to wash. The bell rang outside the maintenance tunnel. She was already late. Zara was not like the others at the Galactic Station. Most workers were tall and strong, bred for labor or shipped in with extra limbs for lifting. Zara was small, born on a ruined moon where the air scratched your lungs. Her eyes were large and soft, her skin pale lavender, and her voice barely, more than a whisper. She had come here thinking this place would be better, safer. But safety, it turned out, came with filth. She cleaned the worst of it. Level 27 waste duct systems. The slop from 50 alien species flowed through cracked pipes and leaked into thick puddles. Zara's job was simple: mop, spray, scrape, repeat. It didn't matter what time of day it was, or what species had left their mark. She was given 6 hours to make it spotless. If she missed a spot, they cut her food tokens. Today, the waste was thicker than usual. Her boots made sloshing sounds as she stepped through a broken pressure vent. The stench was almost enough to make her eyes water, but she couldn't afford to waste moisture. Not when water rations were tight. She bent down and began scrubbing a rusted plate when the ground shook beneath her. A boom echoed above her head, then another. The lights flickered and the air suddenly turned bitter and hot. She looked up, confused. Alarms screamed. A voice crackled through the station speaker. All personnel, emergency lockdown. Hostile vessel breach on Deck 6. I repeat, hostile vessel breach on Deck 6. Zara dropped her mop. Deck 6? That was only a few levels above. She grabbed her tool belt and ran to the service ladder. She had no reason to go, nothing to protect, nothing to gain, but her legs moved on their own. She had never seen war, but she had seen the aftermath. It was always worse when you waited too long. Smoke poured into the stairwell as she reached Deck 6. Emergency lights bathed the walls in red. She heard shouting, screams, plasma blasts. The station guards were fighting something, but it wasn't clear who the enemy was. Zara stayed low, crawling past a broken wall panel. As she peeked around the corner, her heart stopped. 3 soldiers in black armor were dragging a human male across the floor. He was wounded, coughing, his sides soaked with blood. She recognized the insignia on his arm. He was one of the Earth Alliance traitors. Rich, powerful, and completely out of place in a sewer zone like this. One of the black-armored soldiers raised his weapon. Zara didn't think. She threw her cleaning fluid bottle. It exploded mid her foam, and acid burst across the soldier's helmet. He screamed and fell backward, clawing at his face. The other 2 turned, confused. Zara was already moving. She grabbed a pipe and slammed it into the second soldier's leg. The metal cracked. He howled. She ducked as a blast shot over her shoulder and rolled toward the human man. His eyes met hers, green, glassy, shocked. "Can you walk?" she whispered. He nodded slowly. She helped him up, blood dripping from his side onto her already stained clothes. Together, they hobbled back down the stairwell. The station rocked again. The lights cut out. "Why did you help me?" he asked as they reached the lower deck. She didn't answer. She didn't know. Later, when the station regained control, the battle was over. The black-armored soldiers were gone. Zara sat in the emergency medbay, staring at her hands. They still smelled like sewer water and blood. The human man, his name was Commander Leon Voss, was being patched up nearby. Every few minutes, he turned to look at her. His eyes were different now, curious, warm. The nurse said he had asked for her name. Zara didn't understand. People like him didn't speak to workers like her. But when he stood and walked toward her, even with fresh stitches in his side, she didn't move away. "You saved my life," he said. "You didn't have to. I clean waste," she replied softly. "Not save humans," he chuckled and offered his hand. "Maybe it's time you do something else." Zara blinked. For the first time since she'd arrived on the station, someone saw her, not just the dirt on her uniform or the smell on her skin, but her. And for reasons she didn't understand yet. It made her want to cry. She didn't single quotes d-dot. She just nodded dot and took his hand. Asterisk Zara had never been inside the upper levels of the Galactic Station. Not really. Once, she was dragged up to the admin zone to fix a leaking pipe. That was years ago, and even then, she wasn't allowed to look around. She was told to keep her eyes down, to work fast, to disappear. But now, everything was different. Commander Leon Vos sent for her. An armed escort arrived at the waste-level tunnels. At first, the other workers thought she had broken a rule. One even smirked, thinking she was finally getting punished for something. But when the guard said, "By request of the commander," everyone went silent. They stared at her like she didn't belong. She didn't. Not there, and not with the rich humans above. But still, she followed the guards. Her eyes widened as they rode the lift up. Clean floors, fresh air, soft light panels that didn't flicker, walls that smelled of flowers instead of rot. It felt like another planet. She held her arms close, trying not to drip or touch anything. Leon was standing near a wide window when she entered. The view behind him showed the stars moving slowly across the black. He had no armor now, just soft clothes, clean bandages across his ribs, and a faint smile on his face. "You came," he said. Zara nodded but didn't speak. Her throat was dry, and her heart beat too fast. "I wanted to thank you properly," he said. "You saved me. That wasn't small. That was everything. I didn't think," she replied. "I just acted." "That's the point," he said. He walked toward her, limping slightly. Zara noticed his eyes were clear and sharp, not like the others who passed her in the corridors without ever seeing her. He was looking at her, not through her. I asked. "Around," Leon said. "You've been working in the worst sector for 5 years. No complaints, no missed shifts. No rewards either." She stayed quiet. "I don't like injustice," he continued. "I've already spoken to command. You're off the waste level. You'll report to my department now. Personal assistant, if you're willing." Zara's lips parted. "Me?" He nodded. She didn't understand. There were better people, cleaner ones, more educated. Her hands still smelled of sewage. "Why her? I don't need someone polished," he said as if reading her mind. "I need someone who knows what it's like to fight from the bottom." Zara accepted the new job. What else could she do? It wasn't a dream. It was something stranger, something warmer. Every day she was given fresh clothes, a place to sleep near clean air, meals she didn't have to steal or trade for. She followed Leon around the command decks, keeping logs, organizing trade routes, handling communications. She learned quickly. He said that often. "You're smarter than half the officers up here," he once joked. She had smiled without meaning. Too. But not everyone was kind. Some officers whispered when she passed. Some alien staff rolled their eyes. "That sewer girl," they called her. "The stinker with the big eyes." One time someone left wastewater at her door, hoping she'd cry or quit. She didn't. Leon noticed. Of course he did. One night, he called her into his office, quiet and serious. "You've been putting up with too much," he said. "I've survived worse," she replied. "That's not the point. You shouldn't have to." She looked at him then, confused. "Why do you care?" He hesitated. His green eyes held something deeper than gratitude. "Because I see you." Zara didn't know what to say. No one had ever said something like that to her before. Not her supervisors, not the guards, not even her old co-workers in the tunnels. She was useful, or she was invisible. Never more. Then that, but Leon meant it. Weeks passed. They spent more time together. At first, it was just work. Then it became something else: quiet meals in the officer's lounge. Late night talks about his childhood on Earth and her childhood beneath. A broken dome on a poisoned moon. They laughed sometimes. Once, she almost cried when he gave her a soft red scarf and said it matched the light in her eyes. One day, as they were walking through the observation deck, he stopped suddenly. "Zara," he said, "if I asked you something big, something insane, would you listen?" She tilted her head, confused. He took a deep breath. "I don't care where you came from. I don't care that you clean ducks and waste. What I care about is you. I want you with me. I don't want to just protect you anymore. I want to love you." Zara froze. Her hands trembled. "No one's ever said that to me," she whispered. "Then let me be the first," he said. "Marry me." The stars outside the window burned cold and bright, and inside her chest, something warm began to bloom. Zara didn't say anything at first. Her lips moved slightly, but no words came out. She felt like her body wasn't hers anymore, like she was floating. Marriage? To a rich human commander? This had to be a joke, some kind of test. A trap, but Leon wasn't laughing. He waited, eyes calm, voice steady. "I know it's sudden. I know how it sounds, but I mean it. You saved my life. You changed my life. Now I want to share mine with you." Zara's legs felt weak. She leaned against the wall, gripping the edge of a metal panel. Her heart pounded louder than the engines outside the ship. She had never even dreamed of such a thing. Not because she didn't want it, but because no one like her was allowed to dream that big. She looked down at her hands, still rough, still scarred from years of cleaning pipes and scrubbing filth. She wasn't pretty like the women Leon's rank could attract. She wasn't elegant or educated. She was a maintenance girl from the gutter, no matter what she wore now. "You deserve someone better," she said softly. "I want you, not someone better," he said. "I've seen the galaxy. I've met hundreds of people with power and money and polished smiles. But none of them threw acid in a soldier's face to save me. None of them would have risked their life just because someone else was hurting." She blinked. He stepped closer, voice quieter. "You're not a stain, Zara. You're a star. You've just been covered in darkness too long to know it." Tears filled her eyes, and this time she didn't stop them. That night, she didn't answer, but the next day, she showed up outside his cabin door, not in uniform, not with data pads or work files. Just herself. "I don't know how to be someone's wife," she said. Leon smiled. "Then let's figure it out together." The wedding was small but official. A human ship priest performed the ceremony. Zara wore a silver-gray dress that felt like silk against her skin. She had never touched silk before. Leon stood tall beside her in his polished command suit, his arm around her waist as if she belonged there. Some officers whispered behind their hands. Others looked away. But Leon didn't care. And slowly, those who truly respected him stopped caring too. For the first time in her life, Zara had a last name. Zara Vos. Life changed quickly. After that, she moved into Leon's private quarters. The walls were clean, the bed soft, the lights dim and peaceful. She still woke up some nights in panic, thinking she had overslept and would be punished. But Leon would pull her close and whisper, "You're safe now." He taught her to read the stars, how to pilot small vessels, how to manage trade routes and diplomatic transmissions. She learned fast. She was hungry for knowledge, for growth. No one had ever given her a chance before. But now, every door opened. Still, not everyone accepted her. At a trade meeting with the Vokran delegates, one ambassador sneered when she entered the room beside Leon. "Is she the cleaning staff?" the alien asked in a cold voice. Leon didn't flinch. "She's my wife. And she speaks for me when I'm not in the room." The ambassador's face froze. Zara stood tall, her heart racing, but she held her ground. The respect she earned that day was quiet, but real. Later, Leon took her hand as they walked back. "You handled that well," he said. "I was shaking inside. You didn't show it. That's what matters." But even as her new life grew brighter, something strange began to happen. She noticed whispers in the halls again, but this time not about her. People were talking about war, not a small battle. Like before, not pirates or smugglers, a real war. Something old and deadly, moving across star systems like fire. Some said it was the Vahari Empire, returning after a century of silence. Others believed it was an artificial intelligence swarm that had broken free from the edge of the galaxy. Whatever it was, the station was changing. More ships came. More soldiers. More weapons were moved through the hangars. And at night, Zara caught Leon staring out the window, deep in thought. "Something's coming," he said one evening. "You feel it?" "Everyone does. But I've seen this before. Before battles. Before something terrible." Zara placed her hand on his. "Then we face it together." He kissed her forehead gently. "I won't let anything happen to you." But deep inside, she knew. No one could promise that. Not in space. Not in war. Still, she wasn't the same girl who used to scrub toilets in silence. She was stronger now. She had something to protect too, and she wasn't going to let anyone take it away. The war reached them sooner than expected. 3 solar cycles after the first whispers. The alarms screamed again, just like the day Zara first saved Leon's life. But this time, it wasn't pirates. It wasn't a single ship breaching the hull. This time, it was a full fleet. Vahari vessels giant. Living-looking machines with red glowing lines appeared out of nowhere. They didn't send warnings. They didn't answer hails. They simply opened fire. The Galactic Station shuddered. Under the first blast, Zara was thrown across the room, hitting the edge of a control desk. Leon was already pulling her up as fire alerts blinked across the walls. "Get to the command deck," he said. "We need to coordinate defense now." "I'm coming with you," Zara said, grabbing her jacket. "You're not a soldier, but I'm your partner. You said we face it together." Leon hesitated for only a second, then nodded. They rushed down the corridor, past panicked crew, flashing lights, and smoke trailing from broken panels. Soldiers ran in full armor. Emergency bots screamed through. The hallways dotted the command deck. Officers barked orders. A hologram of the station blinked red across multiple zones. Ships were burning. Shields were down to 30%. Fighters were launching, but they were outnumbered. Zhara stood near Leon as he issued orders. She watched his focus, his calm under pressure. But she also saw something else. Fear that he was good at hiding it, but she had learned his face too well. He wasn't afraid for himself. He was afraid for her. A sudden shake rocked the floor. One of the Vahari boarding crafts had broken through the hangar gates. In seconds, the station's lower levels were being flooded with spider-like machines, black and sharp, with spinning blades and glowing sensors. "They're cutting through everything," one officer shouted. Zara moved toward the terminal. "What about the lower evac tunnels?" "They lead to the service shaft. If they get in there, they'll take the power core." Leon nodded. "You know those tunnels better than anyone." She turned to him. "Then let me go. I can lock the gates from the inside." "Cut them off." "No," he said quickly. "That's too dangerous." "I used to crawl through those passages every day," she said. "Let me do what no soldier can. I know every corner, every crack. I can do this." Leon clenched his jaw. "Please," she said softly. He didn't like it. But he gave her a keycard and a headset. "Stay in contact. If anything happens, you run." Zara gave him one last look, then sprinted out. She slipped through maintenance doors most people didn't know existed. She passed old vents, where her mop used to hang, pipes she used to clean, walls she had once scrubbed until her hands bled. Now they were her advantage. She crawled through a tight shaft and dropped into the evac tunnels. The hum of the station's main power systems vibrated through the walls. It was hot, cramped. She moved fast. Her earpiece crackled. "Zara, you've got 2 minutes before they breach Section 12. I'm close," she whispered. She reached the core gate, an old service hatch no one ever used. She tapped the override and slipped inside. That's when she heard them. The sound wasn't like footsteps. It was like blades grinding on metal. The Vahari machines had reached the other side of the tunnel, and they were coming. Zara slammed the lockdown panel. The gate hissed and sealed with a heavy clang. But it wouldn't hold forever. "Lockdown activated," she whispered. "Gate is sealed." Cheers erupted over the radio. She heard Leon's voice. "You did it. You bought us time." But then the panel behind her sparked. One of the machines had crawled into the shaft with her. A smaller unit, quiet, sleek, with a drill arm and laser eye. She turned and saw it crawling down the vent above her head, silently dropping behind her. Her breath caught. She had no weapon, nowhere to run. The machine raised its arm, and then a loud blast echoed. Metal shattered. Machine sparked, flailed, then collapsed. Smoke filled the air. Zara turned. Leon stood at the vent entrance, arms shaking from firing the plasma pistol. "I told you," he panted. "You don't face danger alone." She ran into his arms, breathless. "You followed me?" "Always." They stayed there for a moment, holding each other inside the hot, shaking corridor, alive, bruised, but standing. The war wasn't over, but that battle, at least, was theirs. Later, as emergency teams cleared the tunnels, Leon helped Zara up to the command deck. Officers were injured, hulls were dented, ships were in retreat. But the station still stood. People began whispering about her again. Only now, they used a different tone. The sewer girl saved the core. The commander's wife led the block. She knew where the Vahari would go. Respect. Real, earned respect. Zara didn't ask for it. But now, no one could take it from her. Zara didn't sleep that night, not because she wasn't tired. Her body ached, her hands were burned, her legs felt like stone. But her mind stayed awake, playing everything over and over. Leon bursting into the tunnel, the machine falling. The way his voice trembled when he said her name. The war had changed something. Not just the station, not just her role, but her. She wasn't the same anymore. She was no longer the girl who scrubbed walls hoping to go unnoticed. She had become someone they looked at, listened to. Even the high officers now nodded to her when she passed, sometimes asking for her input during briefings. And not because she was the commander's wife, but because she'd proven she knew this station better than most. Leon watched the shift too. He smiled when he saw her in the control rooms, speaking with confidence, drawing tunnel paths on digital maps, explaining how airflow worked in pressure drop emergencies. "You're not just surviving anymore," he told her. "You're leading." Zara didn't know how to respond. Her heart was full, but she didn't know what to do with it. Still, peace didn't last. 2 days later, a long-range distress signal reached them. A civilian colony in Sector V-89 had been attacked, half destroyed. Survivors trapped underground. The Vahari were spreading fast, and this wasn't random anymore. They were searching for something. Leon paced in the planning room while officers debated rescue plans. "The Vahari don't raid at random," he said. "They study. They calculate. If they're hitting colonies now, they're testing how far they can push us before we collapse." One officer said coldly, "Then maybe it's time to pull back and secure only the core planets. Let the fringe worlds burn." Zara's voice rose without thinking. "People live there. Families, children. You'd leave them because it's easier?" The room went silent. The officer frowned. "You're not in command, ma'am." Leon didn't let the tension grow. "She's right. he said. "We don't abandon people. Not while we still breathe." The decision was made. They'd send a rescue force. But the colony was surrounded. The main path was blocked. No ships could land safely. Zara looked at the old trade charts. "There's a sewer tunnel," she said. "Old emergency vent system. Narrow, but I've seen it. If we drop in through the supply shaft, we can crawl under the Vaheri perimeter." Leon leaned in. "You're saying you want to lead a tunnel op into a war zone?" "I'm saying I'm the only one who knows how," she said. That night, she suited up. Not in a dress. Not in soft clothes. She wore armored gear, light but durable. With a rebreather over her face and climbing gloves. She tied her hair back. Her heart thumped with both fear and courage. Leon stood beside her, holding her helmet. "You know I hate letting you go into danger," he said. "I'm not letting anyone else do what I know best," she said. "And I know tunnels." He kissed her gently, hand on her cheek. "Come back to me." She gave a nod and descended into the dropship. The mission was small. Only 6 soldiers, all hand-picked. They trusted her. She guided them through a narrow shaft hidden beneath rock and sand. It took hours, no light. Just darkness, sweat, and the hum of old machines beneath their feet. Then came the shaking. Zara pressed against the wall. Above them, machines marched. She could hear the Vaheri metal legs, deep clicks, pulsing sensors scanning the surface. They were close. Too close, she held her breath. One wrong noise, one clumsy step, and they'd be caught. But she had spent years crawling through tighter spaces. She moved forward, carefully, slowly. And they followed. At last, she found the colony hatch. Burned, bent. She pulled out a small torch and carved a hole just wide enough to slip inside. When she stepped through, she saw them, children, huddled with their mothers in the corner of a ruined storage unit. Some of the people had burns, some were shaking, but all were alive. One of the children, a boy with tiny blue horns, looked up and whispered, "Are you here to save us?" Zara bent down and took his hand. Yes. They began evacuating one group at a time, crawling back through the tunnels in silence. Each trip Zara led, her strength faded more. But she didn't stop. Not once. Only when the last survivor was pulled to safety, and the last Vaheri patrol moved away, did she collapse in the sand beside the evac ship. Leon ran to her, catching her in his arms. "You did it," he whispered, holding her close. Her lips were dry, her eyes heavy. "I saved them." "You saved everyone," he said. He didn't care that her armor was scratched or that her face was covered in dirt. To him, she had never looked more powerful, more beautiful, more his. The news spread across systems faster than any ship. Commander's wife leads daring rescue. Sewer worker becomes war hero. Alien woman saves 43 lives with nothing but a torch and a map in her head. Zara tried to hide from it. She stayed in their quarters after the rescue, sleeping long hours, healing slowly. Her body was bruised, her fingers still burned, and her legs ached from crawling through jagged tunnels. But her mind wasn't quiet. Not anymore. Something had shifted out there. The galaxy had seen her. And now it expected more. Leon stayed close to her side. He cooked for her, even though the food was terrible. He cleaned the wounds on her back, gently and silently. He didn't ask her to go out or face the crowds. He only said, "I'm proud of you," and meant every word. But peace didn't last. A high-ranking Earth general arrived 2 days later. He came with silver armor, a cold smile, and 3 personal guards who looked like statues. He wanted to speak with Zara. Not Leon, not the station leaders. Just her. They met in a private room, watched by cameras. The general paced slowly, eyeing her like a puzzle. "You're not what I expected," he said. "I get that a lot." Zara replied, arms crossed. He leaned in. "You've become a symbol. You know that? The image of hope. An alien girl, once a janitor, now a hero. It makes people believe the war can be won. That humanity and alien kind can rise together. Zara stayed quiet. But here's the truth, he continued. We're not winning, not even close. We've lost 8 colonies in 3 weeks. The Vahari don't sleep. They don't speak. They don't stop, but they are looking for something. And we think you might know what. Her brows furrowed. Me? I don't know anything. Think again. The machines stopped chasing that colony the moment you entered the tunnels. Why? They scanned everything except the route you took. It's as if they feared you'd find something before they did. Zara shook her head. I saved survivors, that's it. No, it's not, he said coldly. We pulled the full path you used. It cuts through an old vent shaft built during the Great Expansion. There's a sealed vault under there buried, so deep we forgot it existed. And you were right above it. Her heart beat faster. What's in the vault? The general narrowed his eyes. We don't know. That's the problem. He slid a tablet across the table. On it was a map. A deep shaft, black, unpowered, abandoned for centuries. Go down there, he said. Open it. See what they're looking for. If it's nothing, we move on. But if it's something, maybe we finally get an edge in this war. Zara hesitated. She didn't want to crawl through another dark place. She didn't want to face what might be waiting. But something inside her said this mattered. Not just for her, but for everyone. I'll go, she said. Leon was furious when she told him, they're using you, he said. Sending you into some forgotten pit just because they're afraid to do it themselves. I have to do it, she said. If I don't, they'll send someone who doesn't understand the tunnels. And if it really is something dangerous, I'd rather find it before the Vahari do. Leon sat down, rubbing his forehead. Then I'm going with you. Not this time, she said softly. You're the station's leader now. You need to hold the front line. I'll take my own team. Small, silent. He looked at her like she was slipping through his fingers. You're the strongest person I've ever known, he whispered. But I can't lose you, she touched his cheek. Then don't let go of me. Not now. Not ever. The next morning, she dropped into the vent shaft. Her team was small, just 2 tunnel scouts. 1 drone tech and a silent guard named Breck, who never spoke but always followed her lead. The shaft was steep and cold. Dust floated in the light of their helmets. They moved slowly, step by step, breathing shallow to conserve air. The deeper they went, the stranger the place felt. Old markings on the walls, ancient scripts from lost empires, symbols no one recognized. The metal floor was warm under her boots, even though no power should have been running. And then, the door, huge, round, covered in strange vines that weren't real vines. They were metal, twisted and pulsing. Slowly, Breck moved forward with his rifle. Zara stopped him. No weapons, she whispered. She placed her hand on the surface. The vines reacted. The door opened. A soft glow leaked from inside. Blue, gentle, alive. They stepped in and what they saw made every word in her mouth vanish. It wasn't a vault. It was a cradle. And something inside it was waking up. Inside the glowing cradle was something unlike anything Zara had ever seen. It floated, barely touching the ground. Not metal. Not flesh. It pulsed softly, light flowing under its surface like rippling water. Shapes moved inside it, as if it held memories, stars, voices, or something more. The drone tech tried to scan it, but his device sparked and died. Breck stepped forward with his hand on his rifle. We don't know what it is, he whispered. Zara walked past him. Her steps were slow, careful. Whatever was in that cradle, it wasn't attacking. It wasn't reacting with fear or hate. It was waiting. She placed her hand near the surface. A soft hum filled the air. Then the thing spoke, not in words, but in feeling. Warmth filled her chest, like sunlight. like music in a forgotten dream. She gasped, stumbling back. The team looked at her in shock. What just happened? One of them asked. Zara held her head. It spoke to me, not with sound, with memory. With meaning. What did it say? She looked up slowly. It said, "Welcome, Guardian." No one said anything. For a long moment. Then Breck whispered, "I think we found what the Vahari are looking for." They sent the message up to Leon. It took 5 minutes for him to arrive. He dropped into the shaft in full armor, heart racing. When he saw Zara standing near the glowing cradle, his eyes softened with relief but also widened with awe. "What is it?" he asked. Zahari looked at him with a strange calm in her voice. "It's ancient, older than us, older than the station. It's not a weapon. It's a seed." Leon frowned. "A seed?" She nodded. "A memory seed. A living AI core created by one of the first Starborn species. They left it behind to grow, to guide. It was never meant for war. But the Vahari somehow they found traces of its power. They're trying to harvest it, corrupt it." Leon stepped beside her. "Can we move it?" Zara shook her head. "If we try to pull it out, it could shut down. It only responds to me. You?" He asked. It chose me. I don't know why. Maybe because I came from the lowest place, because I saw life at its worst, and still chose to protect it. Leon stared at her with pride, then nodded. "Then you decide what happens next." Zara turned to the cradle. She didn't want more power. She didn't want to become anything other than who she was, a girl who fought for others, even when no one saw her. But this was bigger than her. She stepped forward again and laid her hand flat on the surface. The light spread across the cradle, across the floor, through the tunnels and then to the station. A wave of soft blue energy shot upward. Not destructive, restorative. Lights across the station flickered on. Systems rebooted. Shields powered up past capacity. Medical bays glowed with strange warmth. Wounded soldiers gasped as burns closed on their skin. The AI wasn't just technology. It was life force. A gift meant to heal, not kill. The Vahari felt it too. Their ships, hovering just beyond sensor range, reacted violently. They turned, advanced, furious. The sky above the station turned red. Alarms screamed. Ships charged weapons. Leon grabbed Zara's hand. "They're coming. I know. Can you stop them?" She looked toward the ceiling. "I can try." The AI seed pulsed again, faster, stronger. Zara closed her eyes, and something changed. Suddenly, she was no longer in the room. She stood in a space filled with stars, memories, languages older than time. The AI was inside her mind asking, "Are you ready to protect life? Are you ready to sacrifice if needed?" She answered without words. Yes. The energy surged. Above the station. Vahari ships fired their first strike, but the blast never landed. A wave of energy curved around the station like a living shield grown from the cradle's light, shaped by Zara's choice. It wasn't just blocking. It was communicating. For the first time, the Vahari ships hesitated. And then they turned back. They retreated, vanished into the stars. Silence returned. Inside the chamber, Zara collapsed. Leon caught her before she hit the floor. "She's okay," he said to the team. "She just needs rest." Hours passed. Then days. Zara slept like she hadn't in years. The AI seed pulsed quietly now, no longer glowing as fiercely. It had done what it was meant to do, found its guardian. And now, peace held. Zara woke up in the command room with Leon sitting beside her. He smiled. "You did it." She sat up slowly. "Did we win?" "For now," he said. She took his hand and whispered, "Even if I was born in dirt and waste, even if the galaxy forgets me again, I know who I am now." Leon leaned closer. "And who is that?" Zara smiled. Someone worth everything. Outside the window, the stars moved quietly, but this time, they didn't seem so far away. Asterisk.